Hi everyone and welcome along to Sonic Academy with me, Chris, and sat beside me today is...
Phil.
Hello Phil, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good, good. Today we are having a first look at Native Instruments' latest offering, and it's called Molekular,
Yeah.
and it's a
Multi-modulation, multi-effects unit.
ensemble for Reactor. We've had a play with it over the last few days, and it's pretty interesting, very fresh.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Trying to fire it up and we'll just get cracking. So basically what it is, we've got 4 effects blocks, and in each block there is a distinct
Sort of theme. Yeah.
DSP1 is all about spectral shaping and vocodering, etc.
Uh-huh.
DSP2 is delays, DSP3 is all modulation, choruses, flangers, etc. And 4 is compressors, distortion, and other sort of distorting type effects, and a couple of weird ones like
Wavefold.
pitch tracking, wavefold, etc. And these can all be rooted in various ways.
Sorry, just before you go on to routing, they're common elements then to all 4.
Yeah, so you've got
which
the
sort of bread and butter.
bread and butter, and they are on each of the DSP blocks.
Cool.
And then you can route them in various different ways, so you can switch them about.
And they're color coded to match the slots.
Yeah, so every time you load a...
You can see it's like I was trying to work out the colors: brown, green. What's this next color? What's that? Light green,
Breen.
olive,
Breen. Olive, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go for khaki.
khaki.
It's cack.
I'm not very good with colors at all. Probably slightly color deficient.
Color deficient.
Yeah, I'm slightly color deficient. That's the technical term for it. I'm color deficient.
Okay, and so then you can go into your routing and you can arrange these in a bunch of different ways, from series right through to parallel, which is nice.
Yeah, parallel in the series.
And then we have a routing pitch quantization, which works on some stuff.
Sort of vocoders and anything using some, in fact, not all, but some using the sort of pitch shift.
And then we have our switch timing.
That's the morph control can be, you can have it going through steps of 16th morphing, or 96th would be a very smooth.
So in the middle, we've got this morph control. So there's macro controls that can be assigned to any of the parameters. So you can assign multiple parameters to each macro control. And then you've got this morph control, which is like an XY controller.
Uh-huh.
So you can assign different banks of modulation to each of the slots, and then you can have it modulating the circumference, or no, the
Radius.
and then you can also modulate the circumference, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, that can be quantized.
So the DSP and the modulators can be quantized differently as well, which is kind of interesting.
And then we have our modulation section. So we've got an LFO, step, envelope, and logic. The LFO has 4 parts, as does the rest of them.
Yeah.
Well, the envelope has F, which is follower. What is the difference between 1, 2, 3, and F?
Envelope is just a normal sort of...
A normal sort of standard envelope, and that looks like...
and F is the envelope follower.
Yeah. And then logic, so you can create up some complex logic functions.
So this kind of like FM for modulation, is it?
Yeah, we can modulate sort of one source with the other.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so let's just we've got a drum lip here. We've already created something.
That is not the drum lip.
So let's... So we'll just sort of go through some of the interesting ones. We're not going to go through every single plugin, but we'll just pick out some of the interesting ones. So yeah, so something to note about these spectral ones.
Yeah, this is important, isn't it?
So you click on your routing panel, you'll see a latency, and you can click it to get either samples or milliseconds. And depending on which effect you are on, you can see that the latency changing. Now, the latency isn't compensated in the DAW with delay compensation, so you have to do it manually. And this can also change within the...
but it only... DSP1, it only really applies to, isn't that correct?
Yeah, it's only those. I think it's these 4.
Yeah.
So Spectral Hold, Spectral Shift, Spectral Smear, and Vocoder.
I mean, you can see Spectral Smear goes up to nearly, 60 milliseconds.
Yeah, so enabled, and that's easy to fix. You can just dial it in there.
So those controls at the bottom. First one, mix, is wet and dry.
Yeah.
The second one is overall
Is your wet level.
your wet level, and then output level.
Yep. So we can control, say, this play button with our step sequencer. So we just hit assign and turn our play button up, and then we can... I'll get the length up to 16s and the beats to 16s as well.
So Phil, just quickly while we're in this step sequencer, the buttons along the top are your playback options.
Where's
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can play backwards, forward, backwards, and random.
This is the frame sizes of your FFTs, I think.
This would remind me a lot of, say, Brick Tweaker or what do you call it? Stutter Edit. It's in that area, isn't it?
So let's build something up with cloud delay.
Yeah.
Get another step sequencer here.
I wish more plugins had a huge button like that one.
So we can automate that as well. Can we automate
They goes on and off. No, unless there's a
control beside it?
side. Yeah, you can't automate it.
So we can
You can assign it to a controller or whatever.
chorus as well. Modulate the chorus. So once you've got sort of something set up, it's not the greatest song sure.
That's brilliant, Phil. That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
it's good. Do you like it?
I love it.
So you can then go in and start playing with macro controls. So click macro 1 and we'll just add a bunch of controls here. You can add a few more of those. So
think this is where Molekular starts to come into its own. It's this really massive routing system that you can have going.
And then we'll do the morpher as well. So we can pick an effect. So we've got this. Hit save. And that's saving it to the middle.
So that's our base effect, yeah?
Yeah.
So these are kind of presets we're setting up, isn't it? And we can morph between these presets.
So let's have this as another one. So now we've got crazy.
Cool.
We can do something else again. Let's get our.
Cool.
And we can save that to say D. So we've got one we started with in the center. Oh, why is it not working?
And then again, we can modulate this motion, yeah?
Yep.
What would you use, step or LFO or?
Yeah, we'll use an LFO then. So that's basically the guts of it. There's a whole bunch of
There's another interesting thing. If you click on the routing beside the tuning fork, beside the tuning fork, yeah,
so we can quantize.
you can see the quantize and you just change the sync, and that's very smooth 96
Yeah.
down to.
So that probably has an effect on your DSP load, maybe, does it? Maybe not. Crazy. So yeah, it's a really interesting plugin. There's an absolute ton of effects there to go through. Some really interesting stuff. Some maybe hit and miss stuff. Some nice distortions. Cool plugin. Loads of crazy features. Definitely techno oriented. You're not going to hear this in new Britney Spears track.
No,
maybe on the vocals or something. You know, there's definitely different wee things. Way you would have a dub delay on the end of a vocal.
Yes, it's creating those little embellishments at the end of a phrase or whatever. The other thing is, you can get lost in it for a couple of hours, which is always a dangerous thing, I think.
Yeah.
With these things, you can sit and noodle and if I modulated this LFO and then put a step sequencer here on this, and yeah, you can get some really interesting effects, but you can also, it could be a succubus.
Yep, totally. There's a demo on Native Instruments site at the minute.
Yep.
And
it's £129.
£129, right? Okay.
Which is a little steep, but it's.
I'd like to say it under 100.
Yeah, be under 100. But I think it's definitely got a different sonic palette than a lot of other stuff out there. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, obviously, I would say if you're big into techno and you're looking for really fresh and interesting ways of modulating percussion or drums, I think this would be ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a Reactor ensemble, so you'll need to get Reactor Player if you don't have Reactor, and that's free to download, and you need the latest version of it.
And normally with Reactor, the stuff like Molekular, you can use the elements then in your own Reactor ensembles and sort of build them in.
So you can copy and paste them out. And
yeah.
yeah.
So that could be interesting as well if you wanted to add some of them
Yeah, but
elements in.
again, a nicely skinned, a nicely laid out plugin. A little steep, but a really good, interesting sound palette. So yeah, it gets what 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10? We're scoring stuff now?
I don't know.
I would say, yeah, I would
made it up
say
on the spot.
I would give it
7.
7 just for the price. If it was
Yeah.
if it was under $100, I would give it a bit of a
Yeah.
higher score.
Guys, hope you enjoyed that and got something from it, and we'll see you all very, very soon.